Welcome to Bible Over Brews, deep thoughts fermented over time and text. We're coming to you today on St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patty's Day.
And that is Kelvin and Gumby.
What's up?
How we doing?
We are just going to have a little fun today and enjoy the holiday, some Irish stuff, and go over some fun topics.
Sounds good.
So, Kelvin, how have you been? It's been forever since you have been on. We've had fans asking if you had been deceased.
Oh, that's serious. That is serious.
They've been missing you.
Well, you know what? I'll make more of an effort to make a reoccurrence here. I just been a little busy with life and things and trying to hold down a fort at home, but have a few battles of my own. Nothing major, of course. Yes, I'm still with the living, thank God. But it's good to be missed.
It is good to be missed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have that very distinctive radio voice that people really appreciate.
Okay, thank you very much. Sometimes you have things you don't realize that you have.
So we're starting off our night with a little Evan Williams, Black Label. I enjoy Evan Williams, and I am going to defer to Kelvin because Kelvin's actually been there. So, Kelvin, your experiences with Evan Williams, please.
Evan Williams, as far as I'm concerned, now everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I think it's an excellent bourbon economically, very tasty. Evan Williams is a Tennessee rivalry of Jack Daniels. Evan Williams is Kentucky, but it's the oldest brewery in Kentucky, and it's also older than Jack Daniels. I am not knocking Jack by any means at all. So I don't want anybody to get that impression. However, I do enjoy Evan. Very smooth bourbon, very good. You can even get different levels as far as the supreme version as opposed to the regular. Very good stuff, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I will say despite it being a little more inexpensive than Jack Daniels, is more popular. The sales of Evan Williams is only surpassed by Jim Beam. So there you go.
If I'm not mistaken, Jim Beam owns Evan Williams. I could be wrong on that, but I believe Jim Beam owns Evan Williams. I had the privilege of going to the Evan Williams distillery in Kentucky, and it was truly a worthwhile visit. I highly recommend that also.
So how does that? How was the tour?
The tour was excellent. It was about 2 hours long. They start off by showing you where their movie on it, a short film on it, history, taking you through their vats, giving you a history of every aspect of it, how it started out, how it's evolved, the personnel that took to do it way back when, as opposed to the modernization of now. And at the end of the tour, taste time.
Best part.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. I'm gonna say maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours long, but toward the end, you kind of leave when you want because you can purchase some to go. It was excellent. It was excellent. Definitely worthwhile. If you're ever in Louisville, Kentucky, it's definitely a worthwhile tour.
Well, it's definitely become like my go-to bourbon. And when I compare things, I actually compare it to Evan Williams.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah. Not only is this one, the Black Label, incredibly smooth, and fully robust. I love the flavor. The palate on it is good. The nose, all of it, all the way around. It's a very well-rounded bourbon. Yeah. It's a very well-rounded bourbon. It has a nice smooth finish, and I mean it's especially because it's not as high on the alcohol scope as some of the others.
Right.
However, for what you're getting, it may even have a little more punch because that flavor is just fantastic. That mash is awesome.
I agree. A few cubes of ice for me. Let it sit. Oh man, stuff goes down great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I normally don't like ice cubes in my bourbon or anything else, but this one I don't mind it. Yeah, it doesn't dilute bad.
And I gotta say one more thing on that too. I don't know if you gentlemen were aware of it. Just like you have wine and cheese parties.
Mm-hmm.
Down in Kentucky and Tennessee, they have bourbon and cheese parties. I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I may have to try one of that bourbon and cheese.
All right, there you go. There you go.
They're generally happier people down there.
I agree.
Well, and my wife is a huge cheese fan, so
Okay.
I'm sure she'd be down.
And there you go. That's your reason for going.
So we are going to go ahead and pour our beer, and then we'll sip our Evan Williams throughout the show. However, I want to make sure we crack open the beer.
Okay.
So this is from, I'm going to highlight this one because it's kind of a cool story. This is from Sibling Revelry. Now,
no stranger to our podcast.
right? It's they have a cool. So Sibling Revelry was founded by a family of brothers and cousins from Cleveland who wanted to share their passion for great beer with others. Noticing a lack of breweries in the west side suburbs, their relatives set out to create a unique taproom and drinking experience rooted in their own backyards. Sibling Revelry's sophisticated taproom offers a full selection of craft beers, including year-round brews, seasonal varieties, limited releases, and taproom exclusives. Pair beers with a rotating selection of food trucks with great foods like sandwiches, burgers, and more. Their outdoor patio provides additional space to enjoy the brews with friends and dogs. This one is going to be, for St. Paddy's Day, the O'Kennedy. Like the founding pair of Kennedy brothers, this traditional Irish stout is an easygoing party starter. A roasted aroma and dark chocolate notes makes this light-bodied, low-gravity beer ideal to reach far and over.
Oh, Kennedy, here's to JFK.
This is, I tend to really enjoy stouts. Stouts and IPAs are probably my favorites. As long as it's a nice, robust IPA. And this, so far, it's dark. I'm holding up to the light, and there is nothing passing through it.
This is excellent.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Oh, man, cheers.
Wow, that's good. I have to say, it's a dark beer. It's definitely a dark beer, but it's light
lighter.
for a dark beer.
It's lighter than normal.
Yeah, right? It's light for a dark beer.
It is.
And it has that slight after note of like a chocolatey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It really
And
does.
that's delicious. It's this is a dark beer that you could drink all day.
Right. It's pretty balanced.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
No bitterness.
Not at all. It's there's a lightness to it. I mean,
a lot of stouts that I've had in the past, I won't say a lot, but several, because I've drank Guinness, off and on for a while. But I had to be in the mood for it. But something like this is very light, and it goes down a lot easier. I really enjoy this.
yeah.
This is a junior stout. This is if somebody who wants to drink stouts, you introduce them with
the
this.
beginner stouts.
Yes.
Your
training wheels.
Because it's only 4.2%. So
Yeah.
I mean, typical stouts, you're 8 or 9 or higher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Like our Christmas episode,
but
a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, but perfect for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
I see why they did that. So
Yeah, excellent.
that's fantastic.
Sibling Revelry, you do it again.
So let's talk a little bit about St. Patrick.
Sure.
All right. So
Let's do
what do you guys know?
I know that he's not along the same lines of the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus, or he was a for real dude.
Well, he supposedly ran all the snakes out of Ireland.
I will say that is a myth. So
okay. We'll move
so
on.
I hate to burst your bubble on that one.
Oh man.
But the Ice Age when it came through that area of the world made it too cold for snakes to inhabit.
That's
So since the Ice Age, there has not been any snakes in Ireland. So it's a fun myth, but it is a myth.
Oh well.
Dang it, Aaron! You should have. I mean, come on.
I mean, we could start the rumor that he ran all the leprechauns out. I mean,
There you go.
All right.
but it's cool. So St. Patrick, fun character in history. All right. Believe it or not, he's not from Ireland. That's the fun part.
What's that?
He's not from Ireland.
All right.
I know I'm bursting more bubbles. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Aaron.
Not only did I kill Santa Claus, I killed the Easter Bunny.
Right.
Yeah. No, he was so he was actually born in what we now know as Britain. So, and it was the Romanized Britain.
Okay.
So it was during the Roman era. So,
so was he a barbarian?
No. He actually came from a very well done family.
Okay.
They had they hired in servants. You know, the lower class, probably the ones that couldn't read.
Okay.
Right? So,
Okay.
but yeah, his household had hired hands, and he actually came from a pretty good family.
Was he a family outcast?
No.
Okay.
No, this story is so much more fun.
Okay.
No, it's so he actually got kidnapped by Irish pirates.
Really?
Yes. Didn't I tell you the story gets good?
Really?
Yeah. So I personally, in my mind, I like to think of the pirates being kind of like Johnny Depp, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, right.
With an Irish brogue.
Yeah. Because that's true. That's accurate, you know.
Definitely. You know, Jack O'Sparrow.
I prefer Dustin Hoffman in Hook.
Okay.
Yeah.
We go with that.
Yeah.
Still with an Irish brogue, right?
Right.
But yeah, he was actually kidnapped by Irish pirates.
Okay.
And they brought him back and they used him to shepherd sheep.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
he was actually brought in as a slave to
Okay.
Ireland. Yeah.
So if he wasn't Irish, what was he? Was he like Celtic?
He was British.
Scottish?
He was British.
Just a British?
Yeah. Yeah. He was
Wow.
he was a Brit.
Okay.
So did he stay the rest of his life in Ireland, or did he ever come back?
No, there's a little more to the story than that.
Okay.
You know, so he initially didn't have a brogue. He probably sounded more like he was from the BBC.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess my thought then is if he wasn't Irish, so when we celebrate St. Paddy's Day,
Right.
it's more or less about representing the faith aspect
Oh, is it?
versus
Wait, is it?
versus Irish people.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm asking, since he's not Irish.
Okay, I want to relate back to the BBC. Are some of the most well-known actors British on the BBC? No, they're Welsh, and they're from others from Wales, and so it's a mixed tale.
Kinda hodgepodge.
It's a mixed tale.
Everybody,
So,
yeah.
but what happened was he was kidnapped by the pirates. Right?
Mhm.
However, here's the cool part. Eventually, he was able to go back. Now, here's the cool part. So, despite what would have happened to him, because slaves were not treated well when they tried to escape, okay? And I forget the name of his captor. Not captor, but who bought him. I think
Was he in like an
Milku?
indentured servitude?
I think it was Milku. No, well, sort of, but not really, because he was sold.
Okay.
He was sold. So,
Okay.
but his first captor, I believe his name was Milku. I could be pronouncing it wrong. But anyway, very old Irish name that I probably totally butchered. He worked for him as a shepherd.
Okay.
So, but eventually he made his way across the island and he escaped. Bargained with this is kind of a weird part. So he bargained with with a different group of Irish pirates, all right, to get him back over. And they did end up taking him, despite the fact that he would not suckle the teat of the captain. Yes.
I think he just cussed at me, Kevin.
So, in order to show your obeisance to the captain and to
Okay.
show that you were not going to disobey them, the
Right.
captain would often, like a little baby, make you suckle his teat to show that you're going to obey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this podcast has now reached PG-13.
My God, the children.
Oh my.
Yes, old customs get really weird. I mean, there's worse than that, but we're not talking about ancient Greece.
Yeah, that's reason enough to drink on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
Wow. I wouldn't suckle the tea either. What the heck?
Well, here's the funny part. Apparently, now he had refound his religion on the island because, get this, his father was actually a deacon in the Catholic Church.
Really?
Yes, his father was a deacon in the Catholic Church because deacons have always been part of the faith. I mean, going all the way back to the time of the apostles, they're referenced even in the New Testament.
Okay.
So deacons have always been part of the faith. And his father was one of the deacons. And there's two versions. I'm not sure who's aware of this, but there's two versions of deacons inside of the Catholic Church. There's what's called just the standard diaconate, which those are priests in training, and so they're temporary deacons as they transition to becoming priests. And then there's what's called the permanent diaconate, and those ones are ones who are married and they have children, and so they don't plan on being priests.
Okay.
Right? And so what they do then is they hold their position as deacon, and they help with the comings and goings and anything else the priest needs over at the church. They also are allowed to do things like conduct funerals, and stuff like that. They're allowed to preach during services. So.
Okay, well, question for you. During that time when he was captured and taken to Ireland, was the whole island Catholic at that time?
No, they were pagan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poor is... So about what time did the Protestants come in?
All right, so... Well,
was that after?
That was way later.
Okay, all right.
That was way later.
We'll drop that part.
Yeah. Oh, we could reference it at the end because it's kind of a fun thing.
Okay,
it's kind of a fun thing.
We'll drop that right now.
We can go back and forth on that and have some fun with that, but we'll do that later.
So let me wrap my mind around this. When we celebrate, and I say celebrate, that word loosely here in America.
It's okay.
Because everything's kind of Americanized, right?
Oh, we're going to get to that. I know where you're going.
Okay. Well, when we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, the man's not Irish. Right? I just want to get that out on record.
He was not born Irish.
Okay.
So
he was a national Irish.
We'll come back to that. So
I'm just saying he could have been Puerto Rican.
So believe it or not, there are some people that dispute and claim that his family was a misplaced Jewish family from the ancient lands.
Of course.
But there is absolutely no evidence that holds to that. So it's really just people trying to make things up. There's no evidence for it at all.
Okay.
But here's the cool part. So he found his faith again. He didn't ever really lost his faith, but he was kind of a lapsed Catholic, okay? Like many are. And even though his father was a deacon, he wasn't not very forthgoing in the faith.
Okay.
However, being a shepherd out on the hillsides of Ireland, he turned back to his faith again in order to refine himself. And it was during that time that he started praying and he started really getting deep into his faith. And so by the time he got back to the ship, instead of suckling the captain's teat, instead of doing that, he tried to convert them, and he started preaching to them. So, according to some legends, just to get him to shut up, they let him on board and brought him back to Britain.
I'm sure the captain preferred that.
Wow.
And he did make it back to his family, which is kind of cool.
That is a cool story. Interesting.
What is the time
Very
frame,
interesting.
roughly? Just out of curiosity, there was.
That was during. Oh, hold on.
No, the time frame when he was captured and made it back.
Oh, he was in his teens. So he would have been, I think, between 14 and 16, and I believe he was around 17, 18 when he got back. So a couple of years. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. I think it was 26 when he got back.
We're talking the 5th century.
Yeah, it's 4. No one knows for sure, but I believe it was right around, say, the 460s, right in there. I think it was. They estimate like 461 right in there. So I could be wrong. I'll double check all that, but it was that long ago. It was a long time ago. Now you're making me go through and look because I had it in my notes here somewhere. But during his lifetime, now I'm looking. He did make it. Yeah, 5th century. There we go. So what's really cool about this is that he did make it back to his family, but it turns out that he started hearing a voice speaking to him in a vision, asking him to go back. So he wrote about it. Let me find the quote real quick. It was kind of cool. It was right there. There was a voice that came to him, and it started speaking to him, asking him to go back and walk among them, is what his notes had said. He wrote about it. Pretty cool. He wrote about it. There's two of his works that are left that we still have in our possession. So in the vision, he said, "I saw a man coming, as it were from Ireland. His name was Victoricus, and he carried many letters, and he gave me one of them. I read the heading, 'The Voice of the Irish.' As I began the letter, I imagined that moment that I heard the voice of those very people who were near the wood of Folclut, which is beside the western sea, and they cried out, as with one voice, 'We appeal to you, holy servant boy, to come and walk among us.'" And so these voices and these visions came to him, and so then what he did was he entered the priesthood. So unfortunately, he had lost a lot of time, and so his whole life he felt, well, during at least his internship, during his studying to become a priest, first a deacon and then a priest, he always felt behind. So that was the kind of the caveat to him coming in later because of being kidnapped and everything else.
Okay.
He always felt like he was behind the ball in his education. There's even a reference. Oh, where was it? There was even a reference to his rustic Latin. So in his in his works, the way he wrote them down, it was what they called a rustic Latin because I guess you could say almost blue collar Latin, right?
Like Spanglish, right? Not really Spanish, not really English, but Spanglish. Right. Yeah, I get it. Let
me ask you this: because he felt he was behind in his studies, did that make him more of an astute student, studying a lot harder than
he did study? Very much so. Here's the kind of cool thing: there was let me read this real quick. I found this cool part here. It says, "Deeply moved," he says, "I could read no more. Nevertheless, because of the shortcomings of his education, he was reluctant for a long time to respond to the call. Even on the eve of re-embarkation for Ireland, he was beset by doubts of his fitness for the task. Once in the field, however, his hesitation vanished. Utterly confident in the Lord, he journeyed far and wide, baptizing and confirming with untiring zeal. In diplomatic fashion, he brought gifts to a kinglet here and a lawgiver, but accepted none from any. On at least one occasion he was cast into chains. On another he addressed with lyrical pathos a last farewell to his converts who had been slain or kidnapped by the soldiers of Korotakis." So it's really interesting, his journeys. There was another one right here. Let me read this too. He says, "Careful to deal fairly with non-Christian Irish, he nevertheless lived in constant danger of martyrdom. The evocation of such incidents of what he called his laborious episcopate was his reply to a charge, to his great grief endorsed by his ecclesiastical superiors in Britain, that he had originally sought office for the sake of office. In point of fact, he was most humble-minded, pouring forth a continuous pain of thanks to his Maker for having chosen him as the instrument whereby multitudes had worshipped idols and unclean things had become the people of God. And right here it says, when one more quote real quick, the phenomenal success of Patrick's mission is not, however, the full measure of his personality. Since his writings, and this is cool, I love this right here, ready? Since his writings have come to be better understood, it is increasingly recognized that despite their occasional incoherence, remember, because of those blue-collar writings,
Okay.
right? They mirror a truth and a simplicity of the rarest quality. Not since St. Augustine of Hippo had any religious diarist bared his inmost soul as Patrick did in his writings. As D.A. Binchy, the most austere critic of patrician scholars puts it, the moral and spiritual greatness of the man shines through every stumbling sentence of his rustic Latin.
Wow.
So, I mean that's profound. The fact that his writings, which we don't have that much of, Augustine, we have a bunch of Augustinian writings, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that he's looked upon in that kind of depth and that kind of transparency and that kind of authenticity is huge.
Yeah.
The fact that he was able to bare his soul like that so that people could understand where he was coming from.
Considering the fact that he was very fraught with insecurities of his lack of education and not being where his peers were, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He still, it pushed him. He still did it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when people feel their lack of, they're more willing to bare their soul as opposed to somebody who's feel they're fine-tuned all the way to where they should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're really, they have they're a little reluctant to really speak to the fullest of how things are or how they feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I often find them more gracious too and lacking judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree.
I have to admit to a little bit of kindred soul with that.
Sure, me too. Yeah.
Coming from a very lackluster education in home, I wasn't homeschooled, but my mother was. Let's just say that she did not do her due diligence to keep up with our schoolwork. So my entire life, I've always felt behind. Even now, even now in my 40s, I still feel behind.
That's baffling, Aaron.
Don't be fooled by what you hear, please. Do not be fooled by what you hear.
Dude's a walking encyclopedia, man.
Thank you.
And dictionary combined in one.
I appreciate that. But that's, believe it or not, that's due to my insecurity of feeling behind.
I think we can all relate to that for sure.
Yeah. It's so I'm always putting the extra education behind myself to know what I know because I always feel like I'm behind the ball.
Yeah.
So
that's an admirable
I don't think
quality.
there's many topics I can bring up that you don't just jump in on. And I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's a very great quality, especially within the Christian faith. I think that lends to a sense of humility that that's missing.
That a lot of us don't have. You're absolutely right. Or to that level.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that it's a combination. I think there's a lot of people who not only don't look for the depth of their faith, but just stop. You're like, okay, well, I'm in church now. I get it. Jesus Christ is God, Father's God, Holy Spirit's God. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's called complacency.
Right.
You need something to stimulate you, to make you seek.
Agreed.
And oftentimes we don't have that. We don't find that. Or we're not looking for it. We're not looking for it.
And that is, I think, is the biggest part of it. I think the biggest part is we're not looking for it.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Until a circumstance, like in St. Patrick's case, being kidnapped.
Right.
I kind of look at that as a Saul to Paul moment. Paul, for the rest of his life in the New Testament, carried that. No, I'm the least of the Pharisees. I'm the worst of sinners. That whole approach that he just had that self-awareness.
Yeah.
That I think St. Patrick shared.
Yeah.
It's just humility.
Yeah.
It's just lacking.
The ultimate humility.
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact, speaking of Paul, I love the fact that he understood that he came from a privileged background because he's Roman citizen. He's part of the rabbinical. I mean, he wasn't a priest, but he's part of the rabbinical background. You know, one of the officers of the synagogue. So he comes from that background. He's got everything going for him, and he realizes, if I could boast, I can.
Right.
But I can't, because he realized just how much of a sinner it made him.
Yeah, you're right. He had that Sanhedrin background.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, society teaches you how to, you should stick your chest out, basically. That's so for those who decide, hey, they're a lot more humble and whatnot, I admire those because they're going against the grain of what we taught. And actually reveling in that. This is what we should do, that we should be humble. We should understand. We should take our time, be patient.
Yeah.
And I feel that takes us up a notch.
Kelvin said reveling. Sibling Revelry.
But a bump.
Big pun intended. That's true. That's such interesting stuff to learn about St. Patrick. It really is. Wow.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So obviously, during his priesthood and his education first in the diaconate, becoming a deacon, then going into a priest, he was, even though he had one or two misgivings from some of the people, his peers, they still did go ahead and give him a bishopric, and he became a bishop, and he was allowed to go to Ireland to start preaching. So he did fulfill the visions and everything else, the voices that persuaded him. He returned. In fact, according to legend, his original master when he was in Ireland was his first convert.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. So, very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll accept it.
Yeah. That's all right.
Let me read some of the legends. We already, displaced one or two of them, but before the end of the 7th century, Patrick had become a legendary figure, and the legends have continued to grow. One of those have it that he drove the snakes, which we already talked about, into the seat of their destruction. Patrick himself wrote that he raised people from the dead, and a 12th century hagiography placed his number at 33. So, according to legend, he raised 33 men from the dead. Now, I don't know if we have a lot of evidence for 33 people being raised from the dead, but some of whom are said to have been deceased for many years. He also reportedly prayed for the provision of food for hungry sailors traveling by land through a desolate area, and a herd of swine miraculously appeared. Another legend, probably the most popular, is that of the shamrock, which has him explain the concept of the Holy Trinity, 3 persons in one God, to an unbeliever by showing him the 3-leaved plant with 1 stalk. Traditionally, Irishmen have worn shamrocks, the national flower of Ireland, in their lapels on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. Now, I will say, the shamrock legend, I actually did research this a little bit. It's possible that he did use that to illustrate the Trinity, but there's no evidence of it until the 12th century. So it could be made up. Nobody really knows for sure. He may have taught it, but there's no actual written evidence for it until the 12th century.
Okay. I do have a question.
Shoot.
For snakes, and I understand what we're saying as far as the history, they weren't in Ireland at that time. Is that symbolically used for something else?
Oh, it is. I'm glad you brought that up.
Kelvin.
See, unbeknownst to most, Kelvin is a precog. He can see the future coming.
I don't know about that.
He's just peeking at your notes, man. That's all.
I have a few facts built up for this episode. So some are fun, some are just facts. But for one, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
For one, his real name was not Patrick.
Jose, right?
It was Jose Lopez. No, his real name was actually Maywin Sukkot.
Maywin
Okay.
Sukkot.
Maywin Sukkot was his real name. It was now. I'm not sure if you know much about the Catholic faith, but you often will choose a new name for yourself once you enter into the priesthood or become a deacon, or even during confirmation. You choose another name for yourself, and so he chose Patrick.
Ah.
Yeah, probably because it was easier than Maywin. So I'm sure
just a tad.
Right. I'm sure in his mind he's thinking, I think Patrick's probably better.
Right.
Oh man.
But yeah, Maywin Sukkot was his actual name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
A happy Maywin Sukkot Day. Yeah, that doesn't have the same ring.
Right.
Well, here's a funny thing too. So his birthday, we often associate March 17th with his birthday, but it's not. It's the day he supposedly passed away. He died. So yeah.
On
so
March 17th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So supposedly he passed away that day. It's not his birthday.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and I'm going to throw this out there real quick. March 17th is also Muay Thai Day. So for those people who don't know,
Whoa. Something's going on here.
Yes. Unbeknownst to most, not only is March 17th St. Patrick's Day, it is also Muay Thai Day. Now you put those two together, and it now is the best day of the year.
Oh,
nice.
Man, oh man.
Shameless plug.
I wasn't aware.
Yes. And that's why oftentimes when I throw a Happy Muay Thai Day to my social media feeds, usually later on March 17th, usually I'll do it later in the day, I'll make sure it's in green.
That's pretty interesting. Is there a connection there with Muay Thai and just the recognition of that day, or?
That also goes into legends in their part too, because it goes back to like Nakhon. And Nakhon is probably the most famous warrior in all of Thailand. I'm going to rabbit trail on this a little bit because obviously this has nothing to do with St. Patrick.
Please do. It's okay.
But Nakhon was captured by the Burmese, Myanmar.
Okay.
Back then they were called Burma. And he was captured by them. Now, according to legend, he actually was from Burma and he defected to Thailand. So, really interesting.
Similar.
I didn't know that till later.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm seeing some similarities here.
Right.
Hold on. And not only that, when he was captured, he was brought back to Burma. Oh, wait. Hold on. There's a lot of... Hold on.
Okay.
And he actually defeated... Now, depending on which text you read, he defeated anywhere between 9 to 12 guys in hand-to-hand combat during their celebration, because the Burmese were holding a celebration because they had defeated Thailand. They had taken over Ayutthaya, which was the capital. And so they were holding a celebration, and one of those parts of the celebration was kind of like the gladiators. They would pit different fighters against each other.
Okay.
All right. So... and they brought in a Nakhon, and because according to the guards, he was the best fighter the Thais had down there.
Okay.
So in hand-to-hand combat, he defeated, like I said, anywhere between 9 to 12 warriors in a row, barehanded. The king was so impressed, he said that there was venom in every move and in every limb of the combatant, and he was so impressed with him. He gave him his choice of whether to take a chest of gold back to Thailand with him or 2 wives. And being...
Gold.
Being somebody who was proud of being part of Thailand now, he actually brought back the wives with him because he was able to take back with him 2 more captives.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Whatever.
So yeah, and to this date, I don't think anybody actually knows if he kept them as wives or just brought them back because he was able to save them.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody really knows for sure if he kept them as wives or just simply brought them back to their families. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool story.
That is a cool story. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Nakanom Tom, great warrior.
There could be a relation there for sure.
I'd like to make a statement.
Oh, please.
About, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes ago, we were discussing how you felt a little behind the 8 ball academically.
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought I'd say that.
Well,
Just so that's on the record.
Yeah, just so it's on the record, considering all the topics we've bounced on and jumped to and sidebar with, I just thought I'd say that.
I appreciate that. Thank
you. You're really way behind.
I don't even want to consider where I am then at that point.
Thank you. More fun facts. So the first St. Patrick's Day parade, believe it or not, was not in Ireland. It was here in America.
Because of the large amount of Irish immigrants?
Yes. And for those who don't know, by the way, some of the biggest immigrants from Ireland was here in Ohio. The whole Tremont area was actually the Irish zone. That's where the Irish were supposed to live. We're in Tremont. If you go, to this day, if you go to Tremont right now, the square in Tremont, that was the Irish bathhouse.
Really?
Yeah, because there was no indoor plumbing back then.
Right.
So that was where the Irish bathhouse was. That's where they had to take their showers and their baths, and also where they could pull fresh water from. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm aware of a couple other bathhouses. There was one on what's the park on Lake Erie, Edgewater.
Oh yeah, Edgewater. Yep.
And then there's one on 72nd, also.
Yeah.
So, but they were segregated just to one area then.
The Irish were supposed to stay in Tremont.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of Irish history inside Tremont.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we celebrate today, do they do this in Ireland today?
They do now.
They do now.
Yeah, they do now. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was the first one took place in New York in 1762. That was the first St. Patrick's Day parade.
The famous Irish poet, you're talking about 1910.
Fitzgerald?
No, not Fitzgerald. There's another one. It'll come to me.
It's escaping me.
Okay. Oh man, it'll come to me. Anyway, he left Ireland.
All right.
And he was a radical guy, the reason he left Ireland, and he moved to Britain. Britain is the oppressor. Okay, so, but he's
the
in...
British never.
Yeah, right. He's in Ireland writing and expressing his views and, and passing judgment and whatnot. And he's almost, I'm not saying he's totally free to do it, but isn't it an irony that he's a lot freer in Britain to be able to do that in his own country?
Yeah. Who
the British is oppressing.
Yeah. That is a lot of irony there.
His name? It won't come to me right now.
I have a few favorite poets, but they're not Irish. Ogden Nash. Love Ogden Nash. Of course, one of my favorites of all time was Edgar Allan Poe, right? The depth. I don't think anybody realizes the depth of his stories.
Yeah.
If you go back and you read Edgar Allan Poe, not only was he well versed in prose, he was actually the first detective writer for America. I don't know if anybody realizes that. He actually even precedes Sherlock Holmes. His detective stories precedes all of that. Amazing writer. Amazing. In fact, to this day, one of my favorite detective stories is the Purloined Letter. An amazing story of how you can hide things just in plain sight. It's the Purloined Letter. Fantastic story. So I do love Edgar Allan Poe for his depth. And if you go through his poetry, his knowledge of deep Christian mythos and motifs is profound. I mean, I've been going back and rereading some of his stuff, and it's blown me away.
Yeah, Aaron, so how far behind do you think you really are?
Yeah, he's really behind. He's terrible. just terrible. It just came to me. James Joyce. Joyce. He died in 1941. Okay. But he was living in Britain, writing poetry and speaking out, and he was a radical of the day. So
all right,
you're in the country of your oppressor, but you're talking about your country because that's your homeland, which I don't blame him. And but he was more free to do it there than he could do it in his own homeland.
That's interesting.
I think that's pretty sad. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But hey, things are the way they are.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ogden Nash, real quick, do you guys like Ogden Nash? I
don't know enough about him to really give an opinion.
If you ever want a good laugh, just read through some short Ogden Nash poems. They're just hilarious. Like the termite. A termite once knocked on wood and tasted it and said it's good, and that is why your cousin May fell through the parlor floor today. It's like I love.
Once again, are you going to ever catch up academically?
I'm taking your beer, Aaron.
I should try.
Ooh, boy.
I try.
Am I qualified to be here? Oh, man.
Believe it or not,
I'm having to catch up and read the notes so I can hang with you, Aaron.
Yeah, really.
Aaron has to hold his breath with us going under deep, man.
Oh, man.
There was St. Patrick's Day, believe it or not, was a dry holiday.
Yeah, I was just reading that. So
yeah.
That I didn't know. Really?
Yeah. It wasn't until like 1970 that it became a party holiday. It's a much later development.
1970 in Ireland or 1970 here?
Predominantly America, but
right.
I'm sure that they probably adopted that part of it before us, but officially. Yeah.
So
pretty interesting, though.
That is interesting. So was it more kept religiously?
It was. In fact,
and then
there
1970, it's like...
Yeah. In fact, there's a huge movement right now across the Catholic churches, predominantly in Ireland, but also here, to move to a more staunch observance again.
Yeah. I could see
Really?
That. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the revelry gets to a point where, I mean, you ask people and they're like, "Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day," and they'll go out in the party, but they don't even know who St. Patrick was or his great accomplishments.
Yeah, they're drunk by 8 in the morning.
Yeah. By the time it's noon, they're done.
Yeah. George, where are you?
We miss you, George. But yeah, so there actually is a movement, especially among the Irish, to restore it to a more staunch observance of who St. Patrick actually was, because really he is a fantastic saint when you look back on his life, and his accomplishments were magnificent. In fact, here's a fun part. Did you know that when he became a saint, it was not done by popes?
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
How's that possible?
Well, it was the local bishops in that stage of history that were able to say who was canonized as a saint. So even though he is recognized among all of the Catholic Church and has his own feast day, okay, so he is an official saint of the Church, he was recognized and canonized by a local bishop.
That is fascinating.
Just so I understand this, so you're saying the local bishop had more authority than the popes of the time?
No.
A higher recommendation for the locals who they govern.
No, that's
Aaron.
It was process. His process was different back then.
Okay.
Yeah, process was a little different. And even then, I think it's a little misconstrued because people often say, "Oh, the Pope, he's the king, right?"
Okay.
It doesn't work like that.
Right.
The Pope, believe it or not, does not have more authority than other bishops. And I think that's where people get a little misconstrued. he is given more grace and more leeway than other bishops because he technically does have what's called the See of Peter, okay? And so he does have, he sits in the seat of Peter, all right? And if you go back into the Bible, all right, Jesus Christ himself said he was going to build his church on Peter. And that's right inside, what was it, chapter 16, I believe, in Matthew. So he himself gave Peter the seat of authority. And so even though he has that authority is over not like, it's hard to explain, but it's not like an authority over like everybody else's authority. He's the bishop over Rome, and then he has more grace or more esteem in his position over the bishops. However, he can't just walk into other places and tell them that they're doing things wrong. Those bishops still have their own authority.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the board, but
Yes.
the board can vote him out.
Well put. Exactly. He's the chairman of the board. Yeah.
Right. So today, does Rome have that recognition for St. Patrick today?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All of the Catholic Church has that esteem for St. Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
he has his own feast day. So, yeah. Believe it or not, his color wasn't green.
What?
It was blue.
No.
Yeah.
Next thing you're going to tell me is that
Wow.
Easter eggs have nothing to do with Jesus. Stop it.
I hate to break this to you. Although I do have pickled eggs in the fridge.
All right, so what is the origin of the green then?
Believe it or not, it's actually for national independence of Ireland. That's what
Okay.
it has. It has little to do with St. Patrick, and more to do with independence for
So that
Ireland.
came many years later then.
Yes. So people, because they were very proud to be Irish and they wanted the independence of Ireland,
Right.
they would hold up the green flags and wear the green and stuff like that. But that was more geared towards their national independence, less towards it actually being for St. Patrick.
So,
Why did he select blue?
yeah, I was just thinking of it because today the flag isn't it? It's green, white, and
white,
orange.
and
Well, no,
orange, yes.
but blue is actually symbolic of Ireland. Yeah,
Okay.
blue is actually symbolic of Ireland. Green is independence of Ireland. So that's where that's the difference. Kind of interesting.
Blowing my mind, Aaron.
what makes blue symbolic of Ireland?
You know what? That would have to go into a much deeper discussion.
Okay. All right. I apologize.
That's okay.
I'll take it back.
No. Don't take it back. But it's maybe I'll try to link it into our stuff because that goes into a lot of deeper history. And let's not rabbit trail that far.
Okay.
But St. Patrick, of course, returned to Ireland to convert the Christians. To convert the Irish to be Christians.
Gotcha.
So he is responsible for the Celtic cross. So not only is that symbolic of the Christianity of Ireland, he actually is the one that combined a pagan symbolism with a cross. And he did that in order to show...
Integrate.
Unity. To use symbolism to draw people over to Christianity.
I got you.
And that has always been so. Like my aunt's very pagan, right? So she's Wiccan, and I'm not even going to go there because I don't think that Wicca is a real pagan religion. But anyway,
Nice.
I didn't say that loud, did I?
How do you really feel, Aaron?
My inner monologue broke again. But that has always actually been the way. Even if you go all the way back to St. Paul inside the book of Acts, when he was talking at the Areopagus, he was talking in the theater, to the pagans. Never once did he quote anything of the Old Testament. He didn't quote any scripture. He quoted their playwrights and he quoted their poets in order to teach them about God, Jesus Christ, Yahweh, he actually used their playwrights and their poets.
Okay.
So that has always been what Christians do because, and here's where I have to, I'm going to be a little bit mean here, but here's where modern Christians, predominantly on the evangelical side, when they go in and they beat people over the head with Scripture, it's not the right way to do it. That is just not the right way to do it because when you're going to people who don't know Scripture, it doesn't make sense to beat them over the head with Scripture.
You're so mean. You're so
it doesn't
mean.
make any sense. Historical Christians have never done that. You know, if you go back to like Catholics and Orthodox who came over here during the early times of when America was forming, they would use their own stories about the Great Spirits and everything else to the Native Americans and stuff to help them understand who they were talking about, rather than try to beat them over the head with Scripture, because a Native American is not going to know what Scripture is.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's
catch an arrow in your head there.
So seriously, it's I've never understood that aspect of it when you just beat people over the head with that because they don't get it, they don't understand it. It's not part of their culture,
right?
And so that's always been part of the traditional churches is that you use what they understand to convey the mystery, to convey the story.
Hey, didn't somebody in the New Testament do that? I can't think of the guy's name. It makes sense. It really makes sense. It really does.
Yeah.
So I have a question about St. Patrick.
All right.
Was he subject to the Pope or the Emperor of Rome at that time?
Ah, good question.
Very good point.
Yeah. So Rome at that time was predominantly Christian.
Yeah, the Eastern. Was that Byzantine Empire at that time?
Predominantly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you're looking at that point, it was predominantly a Christian culture,
right?
And they did have
religiously and politically.
Yes.
There was a merge there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. We could do a whole episode.
Why was that?
We could do a whole episode on that.
Well, I was gonna just ask, why was that religious?
I mean, it goes back to Constantine and Constantine's father, but it goes back to that. And again, we could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah,
we did make some references to that too in our early episodes. If you go back to our episodes on what is the canon and then what is the councils, we did make some references to that, but we could go into much better detail at a later date. Because there's a lot of awesome history right there.
There is, really rich. Yeah.
And there's so much that we're missing in Americanized culture.
Yeah.
From understanding the depth that transpired across there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could devote that to, what would it be? It would be like Christian hierarchy inside public communities or...
Yeah.
Because that actually parlays very well into Christian society and how it benefited Western culture.
It's the foundations of what we know.
Universities,
today.
Christian Christianity is responsible for everything. Yeah, universities to healthcare, hospital systems, assisted living. I mean,
our Western world, really, as we know it today.
Yeah, so we could spend a whole episode on that and the history that's involved. I mean, it's really fun. It's really cool. Yeah, but we'll try to put that together in the future.
So was he still more under the Pope's authority?
Well, again, during the early church, and there was a Pope, okay, but during the early church, the Pope predominantly allowed, and still does, the bishops to oversee their own areas.
Okay.
So he would have, at that point, been under the authority of Britain. So.
I think that's really good logic, too. If you think about it, they're policing their own area.
Yeah.
So then who knows their area better than they do?
Right. And that's the way it's always been treated.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. If I'm the Pope, I'm not going to go to China and try to tell them what to do because they're going to know more about what's going on.
Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Pretty cool. I am going to go grab the next beer while Gumpy and Kelvin talk.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, what did you get out of this?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a whole nother conversation, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Some of the things have left me speechless.
Yeah, well, I mean, leave it to Aaron to dispel all the things that we held sacred for
Yeah,
years.
right. Especially since he's so far behind. you know?
Right. So far behind he's ahead.
Yeah, right. You know, so
It's a
man.
vacuum. It's a vacuum.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So why I'm popping these?
I have to say this too, gentlemen, real quick. It is a pleasure to be back today. It truly is.
Kelvin, it's awesome to have
Yeah.
you back.
Yeah.
It really is, gentlemen. And I thank you for the invite.
Always. No invite needed, ever.
You're always welcome.
Right.
So right now we're gonna dive into Guinness. And I don't think this needs an introduction.
No, it doesn't.
I really don't.
No, it doesn't.
I will tell you that it is an ABV of 4.2, and it is an IBU of, hold on, it's on top of my head, 45.
Yep.
So,
Let's see. Does it say on here?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But this, I will not lie, has always been my favorite beer.
Guinness style, huh?
Yes. I have, since I was young, always loved Guinness.
Don't want to mention any ages, huh?
Let's just say that for some reason they didn't card me when I was younger.
I understand.
It was my younger rustic years before I was a true believer.
Right. I understand.
You were still
We're
saw.
not judging.
As everybody knows who's had Guinness, this is super dark, gentlemen.
All right.
And look
Pleasure.
at that amazing head on that.
Pleasure.
I mean, right from the first sip, it's smooth. I've always called this the chocolate milk of beers.
Yeah.
It is just everything that embodies Ireland and St. Patrick's Day is right there in Guinness.
They do it right. Yep.
I must say, in 2008, I had the pleasure of going to the Guinness factory, the Guinness brewery in
Tell us
Ireland.
more.
Tell
Tell us
us.
more. Oh, no.
Tell
We
us.
want to hear all this. Please.
I was blessed to spend 7 days in Ireland. Actually, the whole time was 7. I spent 6 days because one day I took a flight and went to London for a day. There was a gentleman in my unit. I was still in reserves at the time, and he was activated. So he sold me his trip to Ireland at a very reasonable price.
All right.
So I stayed in downtown Dublin, and I can't remember the name of the hotel, but we have one here in Cleveland, downtown on Lakeside. It was a converted bank. It's in downtown Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, it's a converted bank. They changed to a hotel. If it comes to me, I'll say the name. Anyway, one of the biggest things I enjoy when I go overseas, I always like to send a postcard to where I'm at. And if you go cross from the hotel, if you cross the little bridge there's a post office that really hasn't changed much physically on the inside since the time it was built. And looking at it, I would say it was built maybe 1920s, 1930s. Oh, the nostalgia of it and the uniqueness of it was just outstanding. It left me speechless. It was great, you know. So I got some postcards, sent them out, and then just strolled on. When I go to some place new and different, whether I can speak the language or not, I don't want for starters, I don't want an interpreter. I don't want a tour guide. I just like to go out and feel my way. Now later on, coming back, I'll do that. But for starters, I just want to go and feel my way. So yes, it was a beautiful trip. The last day of the trip, or the day before the last day, we had we went to the it was a group I was with, and they went to the Guinness Museum, and so yeah, it was beautiful. And just
envious.
from a
So
from a historical standpoint, so
my jealousy
outstanding.
is peaked.
Well, I'll bring you something back this year because I'm going again in May.
I am doubly jealous.
Come on, Kelvin.
I am doubly jealous. You're going to Dublin.
Yes. Actually, no, I'm going to. I can't remember the. See, normally if you fly into Dublin, you go to the Dublin airport, but I'm going to hike the Cliffs of Moher. So there's another airport there. I can't think of the name of it. I apologize.
So what?
But anyway, yeah. So it's closer to the Cliffs of Moher.
Okay.
So that's where I'm flying into there. So
That's
my wife
amazing.
and
We are going to live through you, Kelvin.
I. Hey, well, you gentlemen invited me. Aaron texted me twice a day. Hey, can you make it? So I truly appreciate it.
We appreciate you being back.
Wow.
Well, we certainly hope to see some pictures and hear from that. Wow.
Oh, by all means, most definitely.
Oh, Erin Gobrach.
So cultured, Kelvin. You are so cultured.
Amazingly so.
Yeah.
Well,
I love it.
I try to evolve.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I'll try to evolve.
That's probably why
as
you
we
and
all
I,
do.
Probably why you and I have always got along so well.
You know what? Yeah, because we've been knowing each other over 20 years.
Yeah.
Easy. Probably 25 and up, at this point.
Probably.
Yeah. So, and from day one, we always got along real well, From day one,
Yeah. Our first trip was a John Chai seminar.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was, the Pennsylvania.
Is that where you guys got the infamous beer from? The chocolate stout or something like that? Or?
No.
That
That was many years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was more recent, actually.
That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We actually did the seminar.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
we did
went,
the seminar.
Yeah, we
That's
went
what
out.
it was. I remember that.
Yeah, we went out
remember
there.
that story.
Yeah,
That was a good time.
It was
Man,
a great
good time.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, man. I never tasted a beer like that, with the
delicious.
chocolate. Yeah, that was
Delicious.
Yeah.
The closest one here so far I've had in Ohio is probably Willoughby.
Willoughby.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a fan.
Are you still in touch with?
Oh yeah, JD, of course.
Yeah, we ought to take a road trip.
Oh, he's a great dude. Yeah, he's a great dude. Yeah. I should probably bring him in and let him tell the story a little bit because he's pretty cool.
That would be a good idea.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
He's adopted children now, so it's really cool. He's
Hey.
yeah.
I'm adopted children. Yeah,
Yes, you have.
Right. Adopted foster parent, adopted parent.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, good for him. I'm proud of him. Good for him.
Yeah, he's like you. He's just a good, solid dude.
Yeah.
He really is. By the way, trivia. What does Erin Gobrach mean?
Say it again, Aaron.
Erin Gobrach. I'm probably totally slaughtering the pronunciation.
Ireland forever.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Look at
really?
that. Gumby for the win.
Oh, man. Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is Barry McGuigan?
Oh, I don't know.
You gentlemen don't know who Barry McGuigan is?
No. Please, pray tell.
Lightweight Irish boxing champion.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Please forgive me. Sometime late 80s.
okay.
Yeah.
I love me some boxing. So
Tough guy.
So wait, that's before Hatton then. Yeah, that's
it's before Hatton. Yeah, that was before
about
Hatton.
8 years before Hatton. Yeah.
They do got a boxing history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, Barry McGuigan was tough. Yeah, McGuigan was tough.
How about some Irish facts? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So, another little known fact from Irish lore, leprechauns earned that gold they're guarding. Yes, they did.
Oh, really?
According to legend, leprechauns spend their days making and mending shoes. It's hard work, so you can't blame them for being territorial about their pots of gold.
I didn't know you had that Irish accent there.
I could do a little bit now and then. Dude, and despite what they show you on Hallmark cards, according to legend, there is no such thing as a female leprechaun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even though I did not include that in our slides, I'll tell you this right now, it's kind of cool. And not only is there no female leprechauns, but leprechauns supposedly are part of the fairy family. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of the fairy family. There's a lot of different disputes about their origins and how whether they're like disbarred or disbanded family members or whatever. But regardless, they're part of that, spiritual family.
It's interesting. I can remember being very young, and I'm talking maybe 6 to 8 years old. And, whenever this day came around, really wanting bad leprechauns to be real.
Yeah.
The mystique around it and the magic.
Yes.
Just wishing so bad that it was a real thing and not just a legend, and being caught in between that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you have any of you ever seen Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
No.
Oh Lord, no. I loved that movie growing up. There's 2 Irish movies that when I was a kid I always watched. Even my wife doesn't know this. There's 2 Irish movies I always watched growing up. One,
you didn't know this?
Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Awesome Disney movie about a man named Darby and the leprechauns that he had associations with. So I'm not going to reveal anything because you need to go watch it. It is St. Paddy's Day. You need to go watch Darby O'Gill and the Little People. You can always find it on cable during this time.
Really?
Yes. You have to watch it. It's just watch it. And the other one, The Quiet Man with John Wayne.
Oh, I've seen many years ago I've seen it, yeah.
That's my other favorite. Yeah. My other favorite Irish movie is The Quiet Man.
That's about 59, 58. Yeah, that came
right there. Yep. That is my favorite John Wayne movie. I love The Quiet Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember it totally because it's been a long time since I watched it, but
Well, it's all about an American boxer, and what you find out later in the film. I can reveal this because I think they show a clipping, I believe, in the very beginning of the movie, where he actually killed a person in the ring by accident. Okay, and so he retires back to where his father or grandfather was from Ireland. So he goes back to Ireland and he buys a plot of land. Maureen O'Hara is in the movie, but the movie is so Irish, and it has John Wayne in Ireland.
Okay.
You can't go wrong. I mean, it's such a good movie. I mean, it is. There's comedy. There's some funny, flamboyant fight scenes. I mean, it is just a great movie. So, again, the 2 movies you have to watch. Well, 3. Okay. I will say 3. Hold on. I've got one more. I've got one more. One more for you.
Please.
And this movie is on my top 10 list of all time.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. The Boondock Saints.
Okay.
The Boondock Saints?
You guys have never seen the Boondock Saints?
Aaron, we talked about this. You're way ahead of us, okay?
Yeah, right. Even though you're lacking,
way behind.
You're eons ahead of us,
dude. The Boondock Saints is a movie. Oh my lord, it is a remarkable movie. So I changed that. There's 3 movies. 3 movies you have to watch on St. Paddy's Day. And you can make it interchangeable. Maybe watch one each St. Paddy's Day so you don't get bored, right? Change it up. Make it a 3-year cycle.
How do you sleep?
Yeah, really.
Sleep?
How does he sleep?
What's that? That's a dirty word. I'm sorry. My wife does not let me use 4-letter words.
Not on St. Patty's Day.
Not on St. Patty's Day.
Oh, man.
It's a joke. Yeah, so, again, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. All right.
The Quiet Man.
The Quiet Man.
And Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints. Those three movies, Irish as you can be, all three of them amazing, hands down movies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure you check them out.
You're a big fan of AMC movies, aren't you?
I do like AMC. I do.
I'm
I
not
do like
judging
AMC.
or knocking or anything, but just by the things you name out.
Boondock Saints is modern, but I do like a lot of classic film, and that's just because there's a level.
I like classic stuff too. I'm not judging it. I'm just,
I mean, there's a level of film that is hard to surpass. Even are you familiar with Seth Macfarlane? He's
He done the Simpsons, I think.
Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Yeah, he writes and voices Family Guy. Well, at least a lot of the characters.
Which is a great family show.
No. Do not watch it with your children. If you watch it at all, do not watch it with your children. I actually, I believe it or not, I don't watch a lot of Family Guy. I watch it here and there. I do really enjoy his show, The Orville. It is awesome. If you get a chance,
The Orville?
Yeah, it's on Fox.
I've never heard of it.
It's currently in season 2. The Orville is kind of like Star Trek, but with our modern 21st century humor. So it's not slapstick, but it does have our humor. So take our humor, like on this show, take like our humor,
okay,
and then put it in Star Trek. So it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but in a Star Trek setting, and it's not slapstick. It's very well done. I can't explain it except to tell you that it has the authenticity of like a Star Trek, but it has the humor that you would find on shows like ours.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's very well done. It rather than being a parody of Star Trek, it's more like an homage to Star Trek.
Okay.
So it's very well done. Very well done. It's a show I can endorse.
Aaron, I'm glad you don't geek out on this too often.
I think. Oh, well, okay.
We wouldn't be able to handle it. We leave here with our mouths hanging open.
There you go. Let's run down a few more Irish facts. The longest place name in Ireland is, I'm going to try to pronounce this, and I know I'm going to butcher this.
Oh my gosh.
Muckin Agadur Duholia.
Yeah. That's Spanish, bro.
Wow.
The Guinness Brewery in St. James Street, Dublin, has a 9,000-year lease.
Wow.
Yes.
Imagine the interest on that.
9,000-year lease.
That is,
how cool is that?
I'm not going to complain about my mortgage.
Well, think about that. It's got a 9,000-year lease. What do you pay? Like $1 a year?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Titanic was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Oh, okay.
What year did it sink?
Oh shoot! Hold on. Let me think. Oh, I forget. You know?
1912.
Okay, there we go. There you go.
How does Leonardo DiCaprio still do movies then? I don't get that. There's the little fountain of knowledge there from Kelvin. In 1447, mustaches were illegal in Ireland. Wow.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Any reason why, or?
I don't know the history behind these.
Wow.
These are just fun facts. I don't know. I did not write down the history. Just fun facts. An odd Irish birthday tradition is to lift the birthday child upside down and give his head a few gentle bumps on the floor for good luck. The number of bumps should allegedly correspond to the child's age plus 1.
Yeah, I had an old Irish friend that did that to me.
Really?
Yeah, no, seriously, a Magoogan.
There's nothing more Irish than Magoogan.
He just, he was a great family friend. He was a believer in faith.
Okay.
When I was a young little kid, man, he just took a liking to me, and whenever he saw me, hey, come here. It's like he took me and he grabbed me by my legs, right, in front of my mother.
In front of your mother,
and
no
lift
less.
me up upside down and shake me. And I always remember that. He's like, "You got no money." And then he would give me money after that, like $1 or whatever.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But just it was kind of cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny.
It's for real.
There
That's
you
for
go.
real.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Love you, Dave McGugan.
That's all right.
The national symbol
That's
of
all right.
Ireland is the Celtic harp, not the shamrock.
Oh.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I haven't tried it, but I've been told it's good. If you go to Ohio City,
That's it?
yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, that's right. If you look on the Guinness bottle, that harp, that is their national symbol.
No.
Okay.
Yes, and there is an Irish restaurant I'm told is really good in Ohio City. Haven't been there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've driven by it probably 1,000 times. Called the Harp. So
The harp. Where is that at?
it's right on Detroit. So Detroit, past the bridge, on the Ohio City side of the bridge. I've been told it's awesome. I've been meaning to go there for probably 15 years, but
I don't even.
Oh, the harp.
Yeah.
You're talking about by the old Max Hayes.
yes.
I've probably been there about 6 times.
Eventually, I plan to go there.
You would, Kelvin.
Yeah. Oh man, that's an excellent spot.
I've
to
been
go
Really?
to.
I've been
Yeah.
told their potato dishes
Almost
are amazing.
outstanding.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I,
That's a worthwhile. You know what? We ought to make a date.
Let's do it.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
we should do
Oh,
it.
if we want to bring our ladies, we can do that too. But you know,
By Blue Brews.
sometimes
at
we
the
need
Harp.
leadership and guidance. But if
Yeah.
we don't,
Yeah.
if we can do it on our own, you know, well, yeah, it's excellent spot, man. Forgive me, I'm brain dead. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it took a minute there.
Been there.
I love that place. Half a dozen times.
All right, it's a date.
Oh, man.
Probably more than
All
that.
right.
So I feel ashamed that I don't know what a traditional Celtic food would be. Potato?
Celtic.
Celtics. Boston Celtics. Wait, Larry Bird's not Irish?
Well, he could be, but the Celtics has always been mispronounced. It's
I know
supposed to be the
McHale
Celtics.
is Kevin McHale.
Celtics.
It's supposed to be the Celtics. Yeah.
Yes.
They've always
Right.
mispronounced it. Obviously, the guy who named it is not Irish.
So what's traditional food from them?
Well, there would be like shepherd's
Shepherd
pie
pies.
and
Oh,
stuff
shepherd
like that.
pies
yeah.
are excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they actually make a potato version of that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
gentlemen, that
In
would
the
be
future,
an
we'll have to
that
do
would
it.
be a good outing. Yeah,
There we
I like
go.
that.
I need leadership and guidance.
So
I do too.
the harp. If you're listening to this, we just endorsed you, so you should give us a bone.
Give us a shout out. A thumbs up.
Yeah, this is true.
The national Ireland is known as the Emerald Isle, thanks to its lush greenery. The St. Patrick's Day is celebrated in Ireland on March 17th, which is a national holiday.
Okay, so it is, yeah.
Yep. Although set in Scotland, most of the battle scenes in the 1995 film Braveheart were filmed in Ireland, not Scotland.
Ah.
It's a lie. It's a vicious lie. No.
I made reference to that today earlier in church today.
Did you?
Yeah, because we were praying and I just felt like Mel Gibson today. You're like, what? That's Scotland.
Freedom!
Sure, yeah.
The
One of my
river
favorite movies.
Liffey.
Oh, yeah.
The river Liffey runs through the center of Dublin and is 75 miles in length.
Dublin, not Dublin.
Dublin.
That's not very big at all.
No,
Wow.
no. But I mean, for Ireland, it probably is. But
Yeah.
so
Ah, such great, cool facts.
yeah, that's all I got for you guys. That's the end of my list.
I think it was outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
All right. So that's all I got for you guys. So, Gumby, got anything else for us?
I don't. If I had a piano, I would play Danny Boy for everyone, but I cannot right
That
now.
would be lovely.
Yeah.
I understand.
I didn't even go into deeper legends like the Banshee or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny. I meant to, but I just I was like, I'm running out of space. So, and I was going to go. There's a lot of fairy legends all across Ireland. I was going. In fact, true story. Oh, I forget the name of the factory. They moved a factory into a valley in Ireland. Okay, And the residents there warned them not to move it where they moved it, and to move it 50 feet over, because it was 50 feet over the line.
Okay.
And they warned them not to do that. And they didn't listen. They said, you don't understand. You are in the territory of the ferry. And this is bad luck. And the factory just dismissed them. Hey, we don't care about local legends.
Yeah, right.
Well, the factory had nothing but problems. Things would malfunction. They had all kinds of accidents happening. So finally, they moved the entire building over 50 feet. And all of the accidents and malpractice stopped. Take that for what you will.
Sounds like mafia,
Take
Irish mafia.
I'm not here to say that
Wow.
it was actual fairies or spirits or angels or demons. I have no idea.
Right.
But it is a true story. So,
Okay. DeLorean, didn't he do Cars in Ireland for a period of time?
I believe he did, yeah. And true story. The DeLorean is coming back.
Really?
Yeah, there was a company, I forget the name of it. Maybe we'll reference it in our next episode. But yeah, there was a company that's resurrecting the DeLorean. Yeah. Most
And
iconic
they're
of
also
80s cars.
Ford Motor Company makes cars in Ireland that are not sold here.
It's true, yeah.
Yes.
I've seen that. That's ridiculous. I've seen that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even get that. Why?
Well, I can't actually answer that, but if we're off the cuff, I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the left side, all the cars are like England. They drive on the right side, and sometimes cars are modified for the area that they're in.
Okay.
And they might not be fitting for where we are. So that could be a reason. I really don't know.
So it's just real customizable.
Yeah, customizable. A lot of things happen that.
All right.
See, Kelvin, this is why we like you having on the show. You're
I can buy
very
that.
well cultured. You are a very well cultured person. We enjoy your presence on this show.
Well, I get lucky every now and then. and one other thing I would like to say real quick, and it may seem not relevant to what we're doing, but I think information is always relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Mention Henry Ford.
Yeah.
Who is Kingsford? Anybody ever heard of the name Kingsford?
I've heard the name. And actually, I've heard of the insurance company.
Kingsford Charcoal.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
That's the fifth cousin of Henry Ford.
Oh.
Henry Ford refused, for the most part, to have any type of shipping industry ship his products all around the world. Because he started his first company in Japan in 1922 or 21. I can't remember exactly. It was definitely one of the 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So because of so much wood that he was using and shipping all parts all around the world, he also had trucks delivered to Russia in 1913.
Ford did?
Henry Ford, yes. So Kingsford was his fifth cousin, and all the wood that they were using, they used that to modify it and change it into charcoal, and started Kingsford Charcoal Company.
That is fascinating.
That is incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Because Ford historically is
Yeah.
is a tycoon here, right?
Yeah, big time.
Loved
big time.
and hated at the same time.
Loved and hated. Yeah, right. When you rose up against him to take a stand, yes, he had his buddies come out and the guys he hired to whack you. Union guys, anybody who's taking a stand. But on the same token, he started I believe it was the $5 an hour workday because there was such a high turnover for the demand of work. So he figured if they pay him a certain amount, there wouldn't be such a high turnover. And he started the $5 workday.
Yeah.
But he also wanted a vehicle that everybody could afford, So
Yes, yeah.
such, and by no means I'm not trying to endorse Hitler, but Hitler did also with the Volkswagen. He wanted something that everybody could afford.
Right.
It's interesting you say that because the tie between him and Hitler are not too far off in terms of the Jewish perspective.
You're absolutely right.
Henry Ford was not too many levels down
You
from
are
Hitler
absolutely right.
from a Jewish perspective. They
Yes.
thought Henry Ford was like the greatest anti-Semite
Yeah.
here in America at that time.
That is true.
What-
You're absolutely
And
right.
there's so many things tied in because when companies got involved, they didn't see the Nazi Party as being anything but hey, I can make money on them.
Right.
It's about monopolies and who controls that market.
Right.
Right,
And there's
exactly.
a lot of companies. Hugo Boss made all of the uniforms for the Nazis.
Yeah.
So
IBM.
yeah, right.
Right.
So when you look at this, it's like all they saw was a cash cow.
Yep.
Ironically, right?
And who controlled that flow of the market.
That's an episode all by itself.
Yeah, I know. And who didn't control it all of a sudden became the greatest evil on earth, right?
Right.
Oh, okay. Happy St. Patrick's Day, fellas. That's good, Kelvin.
Yeah. Again, glad to have your cultured presence back on the show.
Hey, thank you
So
very
good
much.
to see you,
Gentlemen,
Kelvin.
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Truly, it truly is.
Always. Any last words, Kelvin?
It's a pleasure being back. I appreciate the invite, and I know you say I don't need an invite, but that's good to be missed.
Yeah.
It's good to be missed. Sometimes you need to be pushed a little bit.
We all do.
You know what I mean? We
Yep.
we need to be pushed a little bit. And not only, I must say, I appreciate the beverages.
We try to only bring the best in.
I understand. I just have one. I want to put you guys on a spot. So we're all going to plan a date to go to the Harp. correct?
Definitely.
Let's pen it
It's
in.
done. It's done.
Okay. All right.
Only left is to just pen it in.
Yep.
That's it. Done.
All right.
I'm there with you guys.
Thank you very much.
Gumby?
Hey, enjoyed this podcast. Enjoyed having Kelvin back. There's nothing taboo over Brews.
That's right.
And if you feel the need or the inkling to want to support us through any Patreon,
Yeah. You can. We have Patreon. You can support us through Patreon. You can support us through Anchor.
please do.
Yeah, we could use this. Any support you can. $1 a month would be phenomenal. And feel free to reach out to us if you have suggestions on episodes or questions or anything else. If you have anything that you'd like us to tackle or places to go or beers to try, feel free to reach us on anywhere from Facebook to Twitter to for a few more days, Google Plus, to Tumblr, anywhere where social media is, we are there too.
Yep.
Even on the new MeWe, you can find us. So, Aaron, go, bro.